Now that we have done our art piece, I want you to think about the colors you see here. These are very natural colors, nature colors. So I see greens and reds and browns and some yellows. So now I want to think of some contrasting colors, and we're going to use those for something that we're going to put on top of here for our poetry. So seeing that I have some greens and reds and yellows and browns, I want to think about some like vibrant colors, colors that I wouldn't necessarily see on a leaf. So maybe some blues, that would be a contrasting color, or maybe a gray, or maybe like a purple color. I'm trying to think of maybe one more. I'm just thinking about some shades of blues mainly. I'm just gonna kind of pull out all of my blues and think about, and maybe some purples and grays and how I could use those. So I'm gonna set those aside for right now. So just putting those aside. So I'm just ready for those in a minute. Okay, so now I'm gonna need another white piece of paper, and I'm gonna set my artwork aside. And on my white piece of paper, we have been talking lately about descriptive words. We've been thinking about that in our writing, and if we are reading stories, a lot of times we come across descriptive words, so words that are describing something. And so since we drew our leaves, I want to think of some ways we can describe leaves. When you went on your leaf hunt the other day, you had a list of things you were looking for. You were looking for pointy leaves, big leaves, small leaves, red leaves, interesting leaves, beautiful leaves. So now I'm going to be using words like those to describe leaves, and I'm going to write them on my paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by using my pencil, and I'm going to think of a descriptive word. So one thing that comes to mind is, I don't know about you, but when you go on walks and you step on a leaf that's fallen and it's turned brown, I think about the sound I hear, and it's crunchy. So I'm not going to write too big, but I'm going to write the word crunchy. Now, kid spelling's fine with this. Crunchy leaves. Every time I write a descriptive word, I'm going to write the word leaves next to it. Now, if I'm a student, I'm going to start with my pencil so that if I need to erase, I can. But eventually, I'm going to go over my writing with a Sharpie so it really stands out. And again, I want to take my time because you can't erase Sharpie and it does not come out of clothes, or if you're writing on top of something that it could go through the paper, because it does sometimes, you can see. Make sure that your grown-up helps you put something underneath. So if I was a student and I was brainstorming some descriptive words, I would continue starting with my pencil and then going over it with my Sharpie, and then I can erase any pencil lines that are left behind. Kind of like magic, look at that, it just disappears. To save time for me as a teacher, I'm just gonna write with my Sharpie, but like I said, I would recommend using a pencil. All right, so I have crunchy leaves. I'm gonna think of several more. Crunchy leaves, red leaves. I'm thinking about colors. Red leaves. Ooh, maybe I'll think about the size of the leaves. Big leaves. Well, that's kind of a boring word. What's another word I could use? Huge. Huge leaves. Huge leaves. And then let's see here. Maybe the shape of it. I know I saw some round leaves, pointy leaves. I think I'm going to say round. Round leaves. And notice when I'm writing on my paper, I'm not writing necessarily in a straight line. I'm just writing kind of all over the place because eventually I'm actually going to cut these out. And I'll kind of show you how we're going to do that soon. So I have crunchy leaves, red leaves, huge leaves, round leaves. You know a word that just came to my mind? Sometimes I look at a leaf and I'm like, oh, it changes color. It's so gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Amazing leaves. Maybe you want to put down pretty leaves. Pretty leaves. So I'm just going to continue to think of as many types of leaves as I can. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a box around all my different ideas. And I want to keep my box kind of close to the letters. And by box, I mean I'm just doing with my Sharpie a little outline and boxing in my letters. Now, it could be a box, it could be an oval, but keep in mind, whatever shape you're doing, you're gonna have to cut it out. So think about the easiest thing that you could do to cut out. If you do a bunch of like shark teeth, that's going to be kind of hard to cut out. So I would not recommend that unless you're really patient. I'm not. I don't have time for that. So I'm gonna continue to put a box around all of my ideas. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I am actually going to go to the colors that I picked out before. I call them contrasting colors, so colors that are not on my paper. And I'm going to just choose one at a time, and I'm going to use that crayon to shade in each one of my boxes. So notice I'm just going back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, and I'm shading it in so there's no white space. And it doesn't matter if it goes over the line because we're gonna cut this out. And I'm gonna choose a different color, and same thing, I'm just going to quickly shade, 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 back and forth. Notice when I do that, it just colors it in right away. There's a little bit of white space here, I'll just color that in. And again, it doesn't matter if it goes over because I'm just going to cut it out anyway. So here I go. Again, I'm gonna shade it in, and then I'm going to choose a new color, and I'm going to shade it in, and I'm going to keep going until I have colored in all of my boxes. Notice I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know some of you like to challenge yourself. I've seen it on Zoom. I see it all the time. So if you're someone that feels like, oh, I could come up with more ideas than that, way more. I mean, you already found 9 different types of leaves, so there's 9 things you can write down. I even added some more. You can do as many as you want. Just keep in mind, we're cutting these out and we are going to be gluing them on top of our leaf art piece, so our leaf collage. So when I cut them out, I am going to glue them on here, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. So if you're someone that likes to challenge yourself and you want to write a bunch of different things, I would write pretty small. If you write too big, you're really going to cover up a lot of your artwork, which I don't think you're going to want to do. So be mindful of that. So I'm going to finish coloring this in, and then I'm going to cut these out and show you the next step. All right, first graders, this next part is completely optional. However, I do know that sometimes I hear from first graders that they love art, they love poems, and so if you're someone that likes to challenge yourself, I'm going to add 3 optional things you can do. So there is a way to turn this artwork into a poem. I cut out my descriptive words, so I have my crunchy leaves, red leaves, amazing leaves, huge leaves, all of that, and that will go on top of my art piece. But if you want to turn this into a poem, I have 3 rhyming lines that either you can copy or you can use some of the words to make your own poem. So what I'm thinking is I have, let's see here, I have crunchy leaves, huge leaves, and then I think about when I look at the leaves outside, I don't know about you, but a lot of my trees around my house, when the wind blows, I see them just floating through the air. So they are falling all around. So I'm gonna write that sentence, falling all around. And again, this is completely optional, but if you do want to turn this into a poem, you can copy this and you can pause the video so you can spell things correctly, or you can do your own poem. And again, I'm going to put a box around this not too big because I'm gonna have to cut it out and I don't want to take up too much of my art space. And then let's see, what else do I have? I have amazing leaves, red leaves. So I have falling all around. So a poem, I'm trying to think of a word that could rhyme with around. I'm thinking sound, ground, found. Oh, so when they fall, where do they land? They land on the ground. So falling all around, landing on the ground. So I'm going to write that down, landing on the ground. Okay, and again, I'm going to do a box around this. Okay, and then I have round leaves, pretty leaves. Gosh, what else could I add now? Around, ground. I could do something about sound, not making a sound, or found. We looked for these leaves. I could put something like, look at all the leaves I found. Look at all the leaves I found. All right, and then I need to make sure that I draw a box around this too. So now I can decide if I want to color this in or just leave it white. I think I want to color mine in just so I have lots of color going on. So I'm going to move these aside because I have a new piece of paper. And I'm going to take some of my crayons that I had laid out before. And again, I'm just going to color these guys in. And I'm just doing a back and forth crayon motion. So I fill in the white space and it doesn't matter if it goes over because I'm going to cut it out anyway. Same here. I'm going to color this in and I'm just doing it really quickly. And then I'm going to color in my last one and then I'm going to cut them out and I'll show you the next step. And don't forget, if you just want to stick with your descriptive words, that is completely fine. It's up to you to decide how you want to make this look. This is your art project. So give me a second, I'm going to cut this out and then I will show you what is next. All right, we are almost done with our amazing artwork and our poems. So I'm going to take all of my descriptive words and I'm going to kind of lay them out. I want to make sure that I have some colors of every color. I don't want to do all my blues in one spot, so I'm going to spread them out. Okay, so I have my crunchy leaves, my huge leaves, my amazing leaves, red leaves, my round leaves, and my pretty leaves. So if you just did descriptive words, you're going to arrange them wherever you want and glue them down. If you decided that you wanted to take the challenge and you wanted to do the poem, you're also going to add that in your art as well. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch. I'm just weird. I don't want the colors to be right next to each other. Okay, so I'm just going to arrange them like that. And now you have your very own unique, special, descriptive art piece with all of the leaves you found, colored in, drew the details, and came up with your own descriptive words and made it into your own unique poem. And I would recommend, if you can, gluing this down with wet glue. And remember, a dot is a lot. That way it's less likely to peel on the corners. If your grown-up has what's called Mod Podge, you can put that over it, and that would be up to your grown-up to decide if they want to do that. But that would definitely make this one solid piece. And if you had an extra frame that you're not using, you could even hang this up on the wall, and it'd be just a very beautiful art piece. The last thing you need to do, the very last thing, is you need to look for a just right spot, and you're going to need to sign your name. So I think I'm going to sign my name right down here. Miss Elliot. I'm just going to say Miss E for right now. So make sure you sign this so that it's forever yours. And now you are done, and I just think it looks fantastic. All right.